Alright guys, I'm doing this video to help you with the notes. This is the first example on the back page, and I'm going to go through it just like we would in class with g of x. So g of x is 3x squared plus 6x plus 3. What we have to do first, if we're going to use completing the square, is set that equal to 0. So 3x squared plus 6x plus 3 equals 0. All right, now the first thing that our notes say we have to do is we have to move that constant, so this term on the end, over to the other side of the equation. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to subtract 3 from both sides, which is going to leave us with 3x squared plus 6x on this side and negative 3 on this side. Unfortunately, a isn't 1, so the next thing that we need to do is divide each term by a so that a becomes 1. So divided by 3, divided by 3, divided by 3. Remember, a is this lead coefficient, so we're going to divide by that. 3x squared divided by 3 becomes x squared. 6x divided by 3 becomes 2x. Negative 3 divided by 3 becomes negative 1. Now, we have to add that term b over 2 squared to both sides. Well, now our b is 2, so b over 2 becomes 2 over 2 squared. 2 over 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So we're going to add 1 to both sides of this equation. Now we can double bubble this side. That's what completing the square does for us. It gives us something that we can double bubble. And not just any polynomial that we can double bubble, but one that works out really nicely because we'll be able to combine them. So on this side we have x, and the two numbers that add to 2 and multiply to 1 are positive 1 and positive 1. And on this side, over here, we've got negative 1 plus 1, and that works out to be 0. Now what we can do here, because of completing the square, we can push these two things together so that they become x plus 1 squared equals 0. And now it's pretty easy to solve. Take the square root of both sides, and this example works out really well because it's been equal to 0 since this step here, which makes everything really, really easy. Last thing you have to do, and what you would have to remember if this wasn't a 0, is that this is a plus or a minus, so I'm going to use that here. Last thing I have to do is move this 1 over, I move that 1 over to that side, and I would get x equals negative 1 plus or minus 0. But because it's a 0, in this case, negative 1 plus 0 is negative 1. In this case, negative 1 minus 0, also negative 1. So the question is asking us to factor g of x. So we're just going to have to take each of these two terms, and if x equals negative 1, then we have the factor x plus 1. And we have the same thing over here. So if we factor g of x, that becomes x plus 1 and x plus 1. And that's it. Now the next two don't work out as nicely as that one because I don't think you'll get a 0 here for both of them. But you can use the same exact steps, so good luck.